Hello, I am Seuss,
I'm Andre.
and welcome back to the Let's Go to the Movies podcast, where today we are discussing The Exorcist,
That's right.
classic.
That's right. And we have our guest, Cyrah. I pronounced that correctly, right? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, you got it. Don't
Awesome.
worry about
Yeah.
it. But yeah, nice to be here.
Yeah, we're really glad that you signed up. The way you found it, I'm assuming, is through TikTok. Like the majority of people that signed up, that's how they found it. Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah, it was
cool.
one of the
yeah, it
earlier
was like
submissions.
yeah, it was a while ago. I had like when you guys like
Yeah.
messaged me, I was like, oh shit, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, because
for
I'm sure
sure.
you got like a bunch.
It kind of became really stressful to just have to organize that, so we just kind of put
Yeah,
it off for a bit, but we're glad that we're
Yeah,
starting to go back to that and like getting more and more people on. But yeah, like Jesus said, we're talking about The Exorcist. Don't know what the title of the episode will be. Something about The Exorcist, I guess.
yeah.
Um, but anyways, so I wasn't able to go to the meeting where we organized this, but I saw in the group chat, Cyrah, that you said that this was a movie that you wanted to talk about because you've never seen it before.
yeah, actually.
Okay.
I had never seen it before because I was really scared of it as a kid.
Hmm.
Jesus and I talked about it, but like
Yeah.
in middle school, if you remember those chain emails, and
Oh
then they
yeah.
would send like a maze,
Yeah.
and then you would do the maze, and it was super easy, felt great about yourself, and then like the Exorcist face would come on, ruined me.
Oh, I
Like,
loved that so much. I remember like America's Funniest Home Videos. There were so many scary maze game like videos that were like scaring their
Yeah.
grandparents, and it was like
yeah,
so awful because like grandparents could have had a heart attack in it. But I remember as a kid thought it was so funny, but I was also terrified of
yeah,
it at the same time.
And do you remember that viral video of that dude playing the game and he like punches a hole through his monitor?
Yeah, yeah, I
oh
Yeah,
my
remember
God,
seeing that
because of
one.
that?
Yeah, because of the
yeah.
jump
It was like
scare
some viral little hugs video where he
for
just like
sure.
punches a hole through his monitor. It's
So,
like,
was it the first time that both of you have seen this?
yes, yeah.
Mhm.
Really? Okay, interesting.
Mhm.
I've, I guess I'm the only one then who I'd seen it once before, and I might have been like 12 or 13, because my mom,
Oh
she
my God.
loves horror movies, and she just was trying to show me a ton of them when I was younger, like Poltergeist, Halloween,
Uh,
A Child's Play, and The Exorcist, and so like I think this might have been like the third or second one that I saw. Um, I only remembered like the really gross parts. So rewatching it this time, it was like really fun to see the story again for sure.
kind of puts it into context, like, oh, so that's why that happens.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah,
I'm really
Does it?
interested though because I got like a brief text message from Jesus about his thoughts on it. So we can go to that afterwards.
Mhm.
But Sire, I want to know like the credits started rolling. What were like the thoughts going through your head? Like were you still terrified or like was it scary at all?
I was actually kind of confused about the ending. I was like, what? Like, how? I mean, I'm sure we're gonna spoil it,
Oh
but
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, yeah.
for okay,
Spoiler alert, I guess. Yeah, it's not necessary, but sure.
um, yeah, but I was like, did the demon go into the priest and then he just like fell down? Is that why the other guy fell down? Is the demon dead? Like all of these things. So I was like more confused. And I think it's just because of those like older movies, they don't necessarily like to like hold your hand in terms of how you interpret it. So it's very much like, oh, all of this is happening and we're not going to tell you like what's going on at all. So
Yeah,
many people like died, the detective was there and we never got that like figured out. There's a whole like Iraq thing, and then there was like the demon statue. There were just so many unanswered questions. So I was like, I'm glad that like I have this like podcast to talk about it with
Uh-huh.
someone
yeah,
because
for
I watched
sure.
it by myself. Because it was like middle of the day sort of thing.
Hmm.
Because I was too scared to watch it at night, and slash like I was also scared I was gonna fall asleep in the middle of it. Because I'm
That's
like
a
a
valid point.
notoriously like if I start a movie heavily, then I'll
Oh
fall
yeah,
asleep. And I was like, damn, I don't have to rewatch it all over again.
for sure. That's like
Yeah, a
really
lot of
interesting though.
questions.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, watching it a second time, I was like picking up on stuff I've never seen, and like, but then when I was noticing the weird stuff like the statue and things like that, I like turned on like the part of my brain I wish I could shut off during a movie, which is like my film student brain. So I was like, oh, what does this mean? I need to figure this out. And I was like, no, just enjoy it, dude. And I'm like, but I need to know what it is. I'm like, oh, shit. So I kind of, I don't even know if I have like answers at all for any of the questions that you just said, but I might. I don't know. We can get onto that later for sure.
Yeah, I totally get what you mean though with the film student brain. Like I'm not a film student, but I just really like film. So there are a lot of parts where like there were a lot of zoom in shots, and then I was like, what is this supposed to mean? But it wasn't anything like in your face. It was just like, oh, we're just gonna zoom in now.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was just like, okay, cool. It's super like pretty and whatnot. But yeah, it was a lot of like me trying to figure out what the director or the cinematographer was trying to do, which is sometimes hard to like turn off, you know?
Yeah. And one thing you did mention.
Who directed the movie?
I couldn't tell you. I think his name was Michael something. But one thing that you did mention though, and you said it was like kind of you got lost by it because it's just kind of older movie, didn't necessarily have to lead you by the hand. Kind of is the direct opposite of like The Conjuring then, which just explicitly shows, oh yeah, mom not possessed no more. End of the movie. It really just shows it. So like this one, it's like not Michael, it's William Friedkin. So I was way off.
Apparently they wanted like a bunch of different directors, and a lot of people were like busy. And then because I was reading like I had it on Amazon. Amazon has like a little bit of trivia on their thing, which is cool. And the guy who wrote the novel this is based on was like, no, I don't want that director, I want this one. And he had a lot of say in that. He I think wanted a lot of stuff. That's why I think that there's like a extended cut, because they cut out a lot of shit apparently. Like I wish I could just watch, like, I'm sure there's a YouTube video out there where it's like only the parts that they didn't put in, but there was apparently like a spider walking scene where and I would have wanted to see the
Andre doesn't like spiders.
I am so afraid of spiders. I'm so afraid of spiders. Like I've mentioned it on the podcast before. Like there was a moment when we were watching a movie in preparation for an episode where I just shrieked because a spider was like in the room I was in.
Yeah.
I hate them so much. So if that scene was in it, I would have shut it off for a couple minutes.
I feel like she was just doing this like crazy like
so like
backwards
going down
crab
the
walk,
stairs.
not really like a spider, but like was trying to be a spider.
Wait, so was that kind of like the staircase scene? I don't. Wait, hold on. Did you guys?
I don't know when it was. I didn't see the extended cut.
Did you guys see how long was the movie that you guys saw?
2 hours.
Yeah, just 2 hours.
Like just 2 hours?
It was like
around that mark.
5 minutes. Let's see.
Okay, I think
it says 2 hours and 12.
Interesting. That's what I watched too, because there is like this, like the scene where she's like crawling on all fours backwards, like down the stairs. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
What?
Wait, did you not see that?
How did I miss that?
That's like the most infamous, one of the most infamous shots in the movie. It's like
apart from the one that she's like,
apart from when she's floating and when her head's spinning, like she just goes down really fast on all fours and then just pukes blood. It's like 5 seconds. Wait, I
did not
miss that?
see. When was it? Like in the beginning, or
no,
like
this was like after she like went to the bathroom in the middle of the living room, and I think went insane in the hospital. And I think the first really, really bad thing she did at home was that. It's like it was like a 5 second, 10 second thing.
When the conflict was first starting, whenever
like I think the detective just left the house, maybe. But
was it like in the background, or was it like
no? It was
really.
Full,
how did I miss that? Now I'm mad.
Oh damn! Oh, that sucks. Okay,
when did you watch the movie?
Earlier today. Because I never worked there.
Oh, where did I watch the movie?
Yeah.
I bootlegged it. I didn't know it was on Amazon.
Okay, yeah, me too.
Oh, okay, so that's probably why.
I'm broke. So.
I know. I was trying like everywhere to find it. No, I had to like rent it.
Oh.
Because I don't know how to bootleg stuff.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. For future reference.
And I was like, I can't read like a Reddit like article about it right now.
For sure. For future reference, though, just because like, it's like literally been a savior because I can see so many things. Soap, the number 2 day.to. It's like has so many things. We've said it
Oh,
before.
wow.
TV shows, movies.
Yeah, I don't know. We've like said the name before. We won't get in trouble for using it. It's the company itself that gets in trouble, so we
Yeah,
shouldn't
it's
feel
their
bad.
fault
Yeah.
that they even started it.
Like there's no ethical consumption under capitalism. Why did I bring that up? I don't know. Anyways, yeah. So I guess did you watch it there too, Jesus, or did you watch it?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so that's why. I guess we might have watched the extended
Like,
version.
maybe.
Weird, because
I
that's
don't
like
think so. Because how much longer is the extended version?
I'm assuming it's like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, because that's how long usually it adds to.
There was like a few scenes, I think, from what I was reading,
Okay.
but it wasn't like crazy, like I don't know, like Blade Runner or like
Yeah.
I don't
yeah.
know, Lord of the Rings or something.
In that case, it could have just been a handful of shots that we got to see Jesus. I don't know, but that one does feel because there's not a lot of like blood in the movie, except for like
There
this-
was only that one where she was like stabbing herself
Her-
with the cross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
That's
was.
I was like,
even so, like,
damn.
it wasn't like an excessive amount.
She was literally like
Yeah.
trying to do something really disgusting
Well,
that somebody shouldn't
yeah.
do with a crucifix. It's like that's like the only scene
Well,
that I
because the
remember.
demon was like, "Oh, like Jesus, fuck you," but like literally.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a lot of like vomit, more so,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
like grossness
That's-
rather than
yeah.
blood.
Yeah, I guess trigger warning, we're talking about blood and puke, but if you
Oh,
know
yeah.
that we're talking about
It's
The Exorcist,
Like if
like,
you've seen it, you should
turn
Yeah.
it off. You know we're talking about The
If you're
Exorcist.
still here, it's your own
Sorry.
fault.
But I guess yeah, that scene I've always considered it to be so pivotal for the shot of her going down the stairs. Interesting. Okay,
I can like imagine it, but yeah, I definitely didn't see that
okay, I would
because
really
the only
recommend finding
blood
it.
that happened was when
Mandela
she was in her
effect.
room.
Okay,
yeah.
interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently, like, because I was like, I'm really into like looking up trivia after the movie because I'm like, I just want to know. You know, I wish I could just have somebody that like wrote it or direct it, just ask them hella questions right after, like at my disposal.
Yeah.
That would be
Yeah.
super cool. But apparently when it was released, they had to call hella paramedics to the theaters because people were like
Yeah.
fainting and were nauseous. But it wasn't because of like how gross it was. It was because of the medical scene where like they had to do like they had to stab her and like
tracheotomy.
it was
Oh my
because of
God.
that. Yeah,
No, not the trachea. I think it might. I don't know.
it was.
I think
Yeah.
They
it's
said a
just-
spinal tap or something.
that was like in her
but
throat.
it was like over here, which didn't make
yeah.
sense.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was so
spinal
that
tap is
she
when
could
they,
get an
flip
MRI.
over.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, I can understand that. The
yeah.
one time I had to walk out of a movie for a brief period of time was because of a medical scene, but the movie itself was about cannibalism. The scenes for cannibalism didn't bother me. It was
Yeah.
the second that there was like a medical moment that I was like, oh, I can see that happening to me. I have to step out. I'm gonna be sick. So I can
Yeah.
completely sympathize with that for sure. But it's
Ooh,
kind of
but
it's kind
my
of funny
s-
because there's not been a movie that was like that was so mainstream before.
Yeah. My sister, she said, that just reminded me. Have y'all seen Slasher, the show?
No.
No, but I know what it is.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, she said that there was like one scene where this lady gets like with like the autopsy, right, where she's like still alive. So that was pretty wild. I haven't seen
That's
it
kind
yet,
of gross.
but it's, yeah.
Yeah, it was. I was actually surprised that the like little kid was awake for all of that. But I don't. You have to be awake for like an MRI or something. So I was like, damn, they're just doing all this. Like,
yeah. I mean, I'm assuming she's like
it's like this poor
sedated.
kid.
Yeah, like she's
that's
possessed
the
by
real
a demon.
message.
She's possessed by a demon and has to get like a tracheotomy awake. Like, God, that
Yeah.
sucks.
I think they always do that awake though, because it's like an emergency procedure.
Yeah, you're right. You probably. Yeah, that's
Mm.
true. But
Or at
okay.
least most of the time, maybe not always.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Any medical professionals can tell us.
yeah. If any people working in a hospital is listening to this
Yeah.
right now, let us
Yeah,
know
yeah,
in the
yeah.
comments.
Well, we had that one guy that was a medical administrator, so
That's true.
it's
Who
not-
never responded to
pretty
our
cool.
message.
though that never answered. Yeah.
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 I'm
Probably
gonna
I know.
I'm gonna bleep out that name. I shouldn't have said it. Oops. But Jesus, the message that you sent to me was you said that it's like the first movie from that period that scared you, like actually.
Yeah, because like she mentioned before, you said Poltergeist, right?
Yeah,
And I know like the slasher films and stuff like that. I know that Halloween came out roughly around the same time,
a
probably.
few years after.
The
I think.
Exorcist
Yeah.
came out in 1976, so like it's still in the same era
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
stuff. But like that one's the one that stands out the most. That's not like it's not like that sort of cheesy horror thing. You don't get those like the you know what I'm talking about, right? Like the horror cliches and stuff that you get a
Like
lot.
the
Yeah.
the characters that are always there, like the
Yeah,
with
like
the
it doesn't make them
slashers.
bad movies, but there are things that repeat like throughout these
Mhm.
movies and stuff. And I really didn't get most of that from that movie. It kind of like sticks out by itself. It really seems like a modern horror movie.
It really does,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah,
Like I was
maybe
thinking
it's
about
because of
it.
the way that the book was written, because it was a book before.
That's true. And
I've never read the book, so I have no way. Of
Me
comparing.
neither.
I really want to read the book though. It seems interesting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like my family, well, not my whole family, just my mom and I were really into all stuff that's like horror, and we also love watching, even though a lot of people hate it, like all those ghost hunting shows and stuff, like anything that's like
Yeah,
spooky like that. We're like, oh, we
yeah.
love this. Don't care if it's fake. We kind of believe it because of shit that like stories that we've heard from people that we know and stuff. But there's one of those shows I remember hearing. They said that they went to a house where, like, the investigation was held at a house where The Exorcist, like, the story of The Exorcist was inspired by the events that happened at
Oh,
this house.
shit.
And it was like
Yeah,
a little,
because it's based on true events.
yeah, but it was like a young boy who had to get an exorcism, and then I guess the writer of the novel took the story, gender bent it, and then came out with this one about Reagan and her mom, and then they made the movie. So if it's like, obviously I don't think the head spinning thing would happen because the boy would have died like
Dead.
right away.
Yeah.
But I honestly, I would really think that's like, I mean, it's terrifying to think, but it would be really interesting to see. It's like, oh, did the kid actually like float up? That would be
Dude,
insane.
yeah.
If they
I
had stuff
actually
like
think
that.
that they have some like first-hand accounts of what happened,
I'm sure there is.
like the actual.
Yeah.
events.
Without a doubt, there's got to be somewhere.
I was
Gotta
hella
be-
surprised, like how it wasn't like kind of the movies where that are very like Catholic exorcism like sort of thing, and they really go like full on like, yes, oh, we can just do an exorcism because of all of this like past knowledge. But in this movie, they were like, oh, like we don't do that anymore. Since
Yeah.
since we know about like mental health and stuff, we don't do that. And then the mom was like I'll try anything or whatever. But even the doctors are like, oh, like you could try an exorcism.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
we don't know,
really
but like
normal,
they
but
used to
that's-
do it. And
That
then
was
the
the
priest was
thing.
like, yo, nobody does that. And I thought it was so interesting
confused. Yeah.
because it's usually the other way around.
Versus the
Exactly.
It was very,
Conjuring, where,
like,
oh yeah, we have this
forward-thinking.
book. Just kind of read that line and you'll be fine. You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about? They
It
have,
was
like,
so
bookmarks.
surprising. Yeah. It's so surprising that the doctors were willing to, like, use that as an option or to suggest it. Because
They were
If
really
saw
like,
that
I don't
happen to
know
that
what
little
the
girl,
fuck's
I would
going
probably
on.
have that option too.
yeah, because I don't know a
Yeah.
single person that's like studying in that field or working in that field that would ever believe that. So it's just
I feel like they were just so at a loss. They like had done so many things. They're like, shit, I read this one thing one time. We could maybe try it. I mean, there's no harm, you know,
Yeah.
like we
What's the
did all
worst
we
that could
can.
happen?
exactly, yeah.
And all of them were like, I mean, he's not wrong.
And that I think really adds to it too, because I mean, when you look at, I gave the example before, The Conjuring or the movie Poltergeist, even, you get people who straight away believe in the right things to help the situation. Poltergeist,
Yeah.
they bring in, I believe the old woman was a psychic medium, and I think they have a priest too come in
Yeah.
the movie. Straight
Yeah.
away, no problems there. And then, like, but then with this one, it's like, oh, not even the priest believes in it. So it's
Yeah.
like, wait, what? And what I really loved with that was that it was just the way everything was put together made it like so much more scary. Was that there were these
Yeah.
high points of tension, and not necessarily jump scares, but it was just horrific things on screen with Reagan, and then just instant like cut to I don't is it Father Karras? Is that his name?
The old guy?
No, the young one. I think it's Karis.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. So
I'm
it's
not very.
I know his name is like Damien or something.
okay, Damien. Yeah, Father Damien. So it's like these insane moments of whatever the hell is happening with Reagan, like your head's spinning around or something like that, and it just cuts to Father Damien running, just walking around somewhere, and it just breaks
Yeah.
it, and it doesn't do like the whole jump scare thing where I watched this one video from a film reviewer named Chris Stuckman. He did a whole thing about why modern horror is bad, and he specifically talked about jump scares at one segment, and he said fake jump scares, like ones that are like, oh, it's actually the friend or something like that. If a horror movie still puts in like the jump scare noise, it ruins the tension for any actual scares in the movie. So the way to do a fake scare is to have no jump scare noise, just have it go by itself, and then you'll just be scared, and then you'll be like, oh, we're safe, but the tension's still there because you didn't have the sound to cue it. And so like that's what The Exorcist does. It's like they don't have any sounds to cue jump scares, and I was like, that's beautiful.
Didn't have any of that. Yeah.
So fun.
Like I was even trying to figure out like some sort of like music or sound effects, and there wasn't anything until I like checked when it happened. It was like 15 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
Where there was just nothing, and then there was so much that, like, I don't know if they might have like a somewhat of a score, but it's like very minimal.
It's but
it was small. Like there was like nothing really, no like crazy. There were like some sound effects and whatnot, but yeah, I felt like because I've been conditioned from like the movies in these times, or like I was like, oh shit, like this is a perfect moment where like something can like pop out, and I was like, ooh, and then after like I had gotten through like maybe 45 minutes in the movie, I was like, they wouldn't do that. If they did, it'd be crazy, because then I wasn't like expecting it.
Exactly.
And I like feel like, so even that, like refraining from it the whole time is even better than like people doing all of the jump scares and the tension building for now, I guess. But yeah, I thought it was hella interesting. There was like no music or anything.
Yeah, for sure. And like all the cues for any moment that would lead to something scary visually, it was just Reagan screaming almost. Like it happened so many times.
Or just like a really deep like voice.
Yeah, or
it was mainly that.
Or like stuff crashing upstairs. It's like those sounds. It in like a modern horror movie, it would sound like it's right next to you, but in The Exorcist, you can tell that it's upstairs, so it's not scary until you get there and see it. Which is like, I mean, not to like sound like a snob about horror movies, but that's like it should be scary when you see it, not before. So.
Oh yeah, it makes it so like you're there, or like you're experiencing it to the same extent of like the other people that are there, like the priest, the mom, everybody that's kind of watching this unfold just like how you are.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, this movie just, I wish that more movies did it this way. There's a few that I've seen where the tension does it in such a perfect way, kind of like this. Or like there's moments where it's scary, but like you can't tell until too late, you know? But there's not enough.
Have you ever seen the most recent Conjuring movie, The Devil Made Me Do It? Right?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think there's two parts specifically. One, whenever he's like he's peeking into that like hole in the wall. Where like the only thing that really cues that is like the like zooming into it like that, where like the music is like completely level and stuff. So like it does build that tension without having that dramatic release of the orchestra, because like most of the time you don't really want to get scared by the noise. You want to be scared by what happens. So kind of anticlimactic whenever you just like, that was a loud noise. And
and I'm totally one to like get scared of that, and then like other people that don't get scared of that, then they actually see what's happening, and then like, wait, no, what happened? It almost like ruins the actual scare.
Exactly. Yeah, that's happened to me before too. And the second part was the way they built tension whenever he was feeling really sick, when he was fixing the stereo system.
Ooh, yeah. That one was crazy, actually.
Yeah. What I would have wished, though, is, you know how they were playing the music? I don't know what song was playing, but I wish they would have continued that song.
Yeah.
Like, during
just
the
like
actual action sequence of whenever he was attacking him, that would have been so much cooler, but no.
That would have been really sick.
I was getting excited. I was like, yo, this is going to be so cool. And then they cut out the music.
Damn, I really need to see that movie now.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen it.
Got to.
Like, I've just never got the chance.
HBO.
Yeah, I saw it in the
Oh,
movie theater
okay.
when it came out.
Okay, cool. I'll definitely take a look at that. I mean, like I was making fun of modern horror, but I still love it. Like it's
Oh yeah,
it's
I'll
like
like
obviously
watch them. Yeah,
it's still gotta
it
watch
falls
it.
into
and
every
that one's
trope.
like
It's
pretty
cliche.
cheesy, like in the Conjuring series, I would say.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, it like spurred a bunch of memes where everybody's like, "Oh, sorry, I was late. The devil made me do it," or
Oh, that's
something.
funny.
Yeah.
And it was
Oh
just
man.
like, they're like,
And
"Oh,
then
sorry."
that one part, what I thought was kind of funny was that like nobody's ever like, well, like brief spoil. It doesn't really spoil anything in the movie, like any major plot points. But they're like the defense, because you see it in the trailer where he's like, "You're really gonna bring up that defense?" Like, well, yeah, it has been done before. Like, yeah, but it wasn't successful, and it still wasn't. So, like, what's your point?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like, why bring it up? It still
Yeah.
didn't work.
So okay, so the guy just goes to jail.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Basically.
cool.
Yeah, that doesn't make that. Like,
Weird.
it's like an underlying plot that really has nothing else to do with
Yeah.
the movie. It's more about like him, and then that's kind of like shoved in there. So like,
Okay.
it feels kind of unimportant.
I guess they like, I mean, with all the Conjuring movies, it's basically just been the haunt that's been the main focus. But I guess they just needed
Yeah.
Mhm.
they needed the context of the courtroom to
Yeah.
like add that
What I-
title because it couldn't be called
Yeah.
"The Devil Made Me Do It." Then I guess
Exactly.
maybe. I haven't seen it. I don't know.
Yeah, you should definitely watch it though before we spoil it any bit more.
Well,
Yeah,
I
because then
can't
they
watch
have
it before we finish.
the director of the Conjuring movies, like that just came out with that new one, the Malignant one.
Oh, I want to see that so
Yeah.
bad. That looks
Same.
Maleficent.
Yeah, I know.
Maleficent, yeah. But like
It's like Maleficent, Malevolent. It's all everybody's like, "What is
Yeah.
that one movie?"
like James Wan, like he really has just a grip on modern horror. Like he did like all of the Annabelle ones, and the Conjuring, same universe. Malignant, that whatever it's called, yeah.
Maritime, you know.
Maritimes. Lights Out was also him, and I loved what
Oh,
Lights Out
really?
when it came out.
That one was
yeah.
pretty good. It wasn't scary, but it was good.
Or like he produced it at least, because I think the guy that made the
Mm-hmm.
short film Lights Out that the feature was like based on is the guy that directed the feature, but James Wan had like a hand in it somehow. Same with James Wan directed the first Saw movie, apparently.
Oh,
And
Oh yeah, something else.
like, wow, okay.
What?
Way to start off your career is with Saw.
yeah.
Like that's insane. Good for you, dude. But
I mean,
Another
yeah,
thing
that
I
started
wanted
a
to bring
whole
up-
thing.
yeah, and it's interesting because like with Saw, he like started the whole torture porn category
Mhm.
of horror movies, but then with all his other works, he started the whole return to jump scare stuff. Because I think he also did Insidious, which is my favorite modern horror franchise.
Yeah.
Well, not
Yeah.
franchise. The first two are the only ones that I like from it, but like it's like he still. I think he made those as well. I'm gonna fact check myself, but oh, never mind. A bunch of sirens are going by my window, and I just don't think it got picked up on my mic, so that's good.
I heard a little bit of
Oh,
it.
all right.
Just the
he
same,
did.
but yeah.
Yeah, another thing that I wanted to mention was that when you look at good movies and horror movies, there's like a scale. If you want it to be a good movie, it's not going to be scary. If you want it to be scary, it's not going to be a good movie. But I think
Yeah.
The Exorcist is kind of like on that line, just like the way Us is. If you have seen
Oh
that,
yeah.
they're like
Yeah.
kind of balanced out with like plot and also scariness.
Yeah, I feel like
And I
if they're
heard
trying to make a
Midsummer, too.
good movie, they're gonna make it like more of a suspense or a thriller as
Yeah.
opposed to like a horror, which is like blood,
Yeah.
gore, craziness. But yeah, this was like characterized as a horror movie, and I think it was the first one to be nominated for an Oscar,
That's
like of the first like horror movie or something.
Yeah, The
Yeah,
Exorcist.
It didn't win, but
Yeah.
Nominee though.
it was
that's
the
pretty
very
good.
first one. I
Especially
think
for a
the
horror
only
movie.
one that won was like Silence of the Lambs,
And-
which was a little bit. But then that one
I haven't
didn't
seen
really damn.
that one. Yeah.
But that one wasn't categorized as a horror movie. It was categorized as like a thriller.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
Okay.
same for like Get Out and
Yeah. I was
I
gonna
forget what the
mention
other
Get
one
Out.
was.
Yeah.
Get Out, Us, and Midsummer.
That's right. Yeah, those were
Yeah.
yeah. And I mean, I rewatched Midsummer, and honestly, it's very much more like a psychological thriller than
That's what I
anything else,
Thriller,
because
yeah.
like horror, I feel like it's just such a broad term that yeah, Midsummer could be considered a horror, but it's such a like its own broad, like not broad, but like specific category that it's so far away from Nightmare on Elm Street, for example.
Yeah.
Which
I
like
feel like a horror movie has like a villain, where like like a thriller, it could be like just in your head or something.
yeah, or like
But
the
I feel like
villain
a horror
is
movie has like it's either the devil or Michael or Jason or something like that. I feel like there's always something to like something is after you, even if like you're the one that's portraying the symptoms or like you're
Yeah.
possessed, then it's the
Yeah.
devil or
Like
something.
Alien.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
It's like that's why like I saw recently a movie that is qualified as a horror that I honestly loved. It was kind of grotesque in some moments, but that's its own thing. Like if
Yeah.
people don't like that, then you don't have to watch it. But it really kind of follows that line of logic that you were just giving there. It's like a horror movie has to have like a concrete villain. This movie, you don't know if there's one. Like it makes you think that there's one, but in reality,
never
it
really
could
shows
just
up.
be a psychological thriller. We don't really get confirmation properly.
Mhm.
Maybe until the last moments, depending on how you interpret it. I interpreted it in a way that kind of left it up in the air. But the movie's called Censor, and it was from the UK, and it was about a film censor. That's why it's called Censor. But it was like set in, I think, the 80s or early 90s. It could have been even earlier than that, where no, it had to be late 80s, early 90s, and it was this period of time, and it was a real period in history in the UK where this phenomena was released called the video nasty, which were just like VHS tapes of movies that were grotesque movies that were just super, super violent, and so all the film censors had to rush to cut out all the stuff that the UK that they didn't want the UK public to see. And like I have a book actually that talks about that whole period, and Reservoir Dogs, for example, is one of the movies that was considered a video nasty just because of all the violence. So you could imagine like movies that are renowned, like Cannibal Holocaust and a bunch of other really, really just disgusting movies, would be so far beyond that. And so it's a movie that is about this film censor who after seeing this one movie starts to recognize it as retelling of her sister's disappearance, and it goes down this whole loophole of did her sister's kidnapper make this and get it purposefully sent to her office so she could watch it. And it's like this whole thing where, is there a villain? Is there no villain? What do we really know? And it was so well done. Like I consider that one and just a handful of others to be on par with like The Exorcist from what I've seen recently for horror movies. And
it
it's
has an 89%, the movie that you're talking about, which is like really good for horror movies.
That's
Considering
really
especially cool. that The Exorcist has an 83%.
Yeah. So like I was like so surprised with that. And then there's like another one called Saint Maud, which is another one that really just like throws you back and forth between what's happening. It's like just this super devout Christian nurse who's dealing with her patient is like just opposite spectrum of a person, like just all partying all the time, is a famous dancer, doing drugs all the time, sleeping with as many people as she can. And so like this nurse is like, oh, I gotta pray that your soul is gonna be saved, and it's like all about her like weird religious beliefs, and it gets tainted in some way. But like there's just a handful of ones that have gone away from the tropes that you see in mainstream horror that are like really cool, that I guess The Exorcist probably paved the way in some aspect.
Yeah.
I just went on a long tangent there. My bad. But
No, you're good.
Yeah, you're good.
That's what the podcast is for.
there you go.
93% Saint Mouth.
Oh, dude,
Oh
hell yeah.
shit.
God.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think I could be wrong. I thought it was an A24 movie, but
It is.
it is. Oh,
Yeah.
Then that kind of explains it because they make pretty good movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like really recommend watching that one. There's like, and also Censor. There's like some really cool imagery in it, and it's just like overall well done as just horror movies. Especially if you
Yeah.
enjoyed The Exorcist. But returning to The Exorcist, though, there was I had one point that I wanted to make, but I can't recall it. Do you in the version that you saw, did you see the demon at any point in time, like the demon's face?
There was like a flash where it was like the white face. You talking about that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like a
Okay.
callback to what it was. I don't know. I forget what it was, but it was supposed to be like, I totally am blanking. But yeah, I did see it, to answer your
Okay.
question.
Okay, cool. Because like I think that's the only time that we see the demon, really. And I
Mm.
found
Pretty
it
much, yeah.
interesting that it's seen at the beginning in Iraq, and then one moment in the kitchen. Oh wait, not Iraq. It was actually in the hospital, but when Reagan first got possessed, I guess. But just the fact that it's done in such a discreet way instead of
Yeah.
just blatantly showing it, I was really
Yeah,
I
it was
forgot it.
kind of a good scare as well. Like I was like, oh, because it wasn't like a jump scare in that sense. It was more of like a startling like realization too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and-
but another cool fact is that that was apparently like used as like test makeup that they didn't do for Reagan's face. So
Interesting.
they just used that. Yeah, they were like, oh, we'll just use that face that we were gonna use that we didn't like, and then they did that for the demon's face.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's
Cool.
really
Yeah, they were gonna
interesting.
initially make it like her all white and whatnot.
Yeah, that would have been kind of whack.
I can't. Yeah. It
Yeah,
looks like they put more effort
yeah,
into
she's
it.
way scarier with like the gross, like decrepit face and all
Yeah,
those
she's all
like
cut up and
scars.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what got me as a kid.
Where did that come from, by the way?
What do you mean?
I don't-
The scars?
Like her entire face is all like messed up. Yeah.
I mean, I'm
Oh,
guessing.
I actually like wrote that down too.
Like
I
as
feel
a
like it's just
question?
from her like flailing.
Probably.
That's what I thought too. But like, she's not like clawing at her face. It's
Well,
like
There's
just
one.
kinda-
Sorry. Go ahead.
I'm
Oh,
done
okay,
with it.
okay. There's like
Yeah.
one moment where the holy water literally cuts her leg.
Yeah, and then
So-
it didn't
Yeah,
at all.
that's
And then it
I
didn't
was
at
like
all in her
looking
face.
for that to keep going.
Yeah, so
But-
it could be, it might have been that, but we just never saw it. But it also could just be like the demon is just rotting her body.
That's what I
think
figured. I
that-
thought it was like that, like kind of coming through to the human world. You know, what I'm talking about, like showing itself. Because
That's
kinda
what she
makes
got
you-
like first though, when she was first being possessed. Like that
Yeah.
was the first like declination of her going into like full demon mode.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like all of these like little scars and stuff. And then eventually like I know that her lips were very chapped. She needed
Oh
some
god.
chapstick
Need some
for sure.
Carmex. Yeah.
Dude. And then
Some Burt's Bees.
yeah, and then like her nose was messed up.
Yeah.
And then like after that it was like her whole face and her
Like, what
eyes
happened?
also I think were like one
I
of the
guess-
last ones.
I guess it could be from her flailing, but I don't know because she was tied down, right?
She was.
Not at the beginning though.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
She wasn't
so I
tied down
found-
until like it was like really bad.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm curious to know because Jesus gave his opinion when he sent me a text about it. Do you think that the effects used hold up now?
Yeah. I think
Okay.
that they do.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Kind of like World of Worlds.
Yeah,
I
we
love
all
World of
agree.
Worlds for that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, for sure. Because it's
The
like
Like
new
it wasn't
Tom Cruise.
anything like hokey or like where you're like, damn. I don't know, like I love like the movie Jaws and stuff, but once I saw like Jaws eating the boat and you could see inside of
Yeah.
the shark's mouth and you could see like some mechanical stuff and it just kind of like was like damn and I could
Yeah,
never
the shark
unsee it.
moving like this.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was super robotic for sure. But like
Yeah.
with I mean I think anything body horror, like that type of thing.
The
Even if it's like,
practical effects is like
yeah,
pretty good. Yeah.
it's like all there. Like when you think about movies like, I don't know if you guys have seen The Thing. That one,
Nope.
Yeah.
I think it like holds up so well
Yes, I have.
because yeah, so it's like the one from the 80s or like the new
Yeah.
one.
No, the one from the 80s.
Yeah,
The new one
okay.
was- I've
So
heard-
it's like that one or like the chest bursting scene in Alien.
That one's still so
Alien,
good.
like, it's-
yeah.
Like sure, you can tell it's robotic, but it's you can still
It's
see
good,
like,
yeah.
it looks
like
good.
if
Like
they
if
were
you
if they were to use the exact same technique that they did then today, it still would look the same. Because
exactly.
you know how Star Wars still kept like the puppeteering sort of stuff for some
Mhm.
characters?
Yeah.
Like it still looked good and it didn't look out of place.
Yeah.
And like there's this movie called The Void, which is, I mean, I haven't seen it in a long time, and I remember it just being really kind of gross, but it was like the similar like body horror stuff from The Thing. So like The Thing is gross in certain moments as well. And I like watched the movie The Void, and it was like, oh, I could see this exact thing happening in The Thing. I just said it twice, but I was like, this is like, looks like they just reused the same set and the same like type of effects, and it looks so good. But the only difference is obviously upgraded camera equipment, upgraded
Yeah.
lighting. It just looks visually different, but the actual stuff used was most likely the same. Or if there was any
Yeah.
if there was any updates, it was literally just they figured out a new way to make the substance or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, like you don't always have to like do CGI just because you can.
Yeah.
Like I think like if you do it right, it can be really good. Or if you blend it like with practical effects, it can be good. But there's just something that like actually on somebody, it just looks very real, you know? Where like if somebody's like skin is coming off, or like somebody's throwing up on someone like in the Exorcist, it's gross, and you're like, damn, it's like you actually feel like it's real, or like it's actually like convincing you. I think is more of what I'm going for.
Yeah.
And then one similar thing that kind of brings up is that like in special effects, especially in horror, sometimes they can get away with stuff like that because nobody's gonna be sitting there staring at the screen, like noticing every little individual
Yeah.
detail and stuff. Like, oh, that vomit looks fake because there's a little like, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's unpleasant to see. You're not like staring at it like, huh, that's interesting. So as opposed to like, let's see, like the Transformers movie, right? You're sitting there watching it, and you see all the like the ray trace lighting on the stuff like that. You sitting there watching, like, oh, that looks so cool. You're not gonna sit there watching the freaking like the vomit stuff or like the cuts on her face
Yeah.
because you're looking at it. It's just like it's wrong. So I always wonder if like if the context is something that kind of brings up the fact that it were to hold up today. Or
Yeah.
if it's
Maybe,
like,
yeah. Wait, as in like the context, as in like the genre it's in, or
yeah,
okay,
Mhm.
yeah. Like I
as in,
would
like
say,
how it was done.
yeah. So like I would say like in sci-fi stuff, nothing holds up from like
No.
before 1990.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
for horror, you can do anything. You can do everything practical in a horror movie.
Yeah,
Mhm.
So
like the thing.
like the thing, and like yeah, that's a sci-fi horror movie, but it didn't need to like, go to space. It didn't need a spaceship.
Yeah.
So
I wonder if there are any fully practical modern horror movies.
oh, I honestly doubt it. I really think that there wouldn't be any, because
Yeah,
there's so many things where it's like,
I think it's
oh,
just
Invisible
time.
that
yeah.
that too, and like
That
I
they're
think
just like, why do all this when we can just like do all of our shooting and then give it to somebody else in post that can just do it like at their house?
which I mean, in
Yeah.
a lot
Because I think it would be cheaper too to
I
do
think
practical
so.
effects, but it's just time.
and in a lot of ways, it kind of frees up some artistic liberties when it comes to the movie because, like, maybe you want to be able to do a shot a certain way, like you want, because the practical effects would have to,
Yeah.
like,
that's
they
true.
If you only have like
specifically be done a certain
an
way.
hour or something before it gets gross.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And like yeah, for sure. I do think what you said, practical effects being cheaper, it really depends. But like, there's certain
Because
things
you can just have like corn syrup and
Yeah.
like
like that's what I had
red
to like.
food coloring.
I literally had to do that for a short film I made. I just mixed up black and red food coloring and cornstarch.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this looks good. Is it
I know, I did
disgusting
that
to deal
too.
with? Absolutely. And it's hard to clean up, but it works. So why not?
It was like pennies on a dollar to
Exactly.
make blood, you know. And then back in like black and white films, they just used chocolate syrup.
Yeah.
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 And there's only like one thing that I can't stand in modern horror movies that they do practically, that I'm like, I wish you just don't show it in a movie because it grosses me out, is so many modern horror movies have just characters pull their teeth out. And I'm like, why do you do that?
Ooh.
I don't want to see that. I mean, I know it
Yeah.
adds to it. I know it's supposed to be gross, but I don't want to see that right now.
I think what gives me like the same feeling was like in Black Swan when she like had a hangnail, and then she like ripped, like that was something that I was like, I didn't need that. Like-
Yeah, anything with
Like,
like
no,
teeth
thank you.
or like pulling like nails
You
off, I'm
can't
like,
cook
dude.
yourself.
Yeah. Or yeah, with, like in horror movies when their nails like fall off or something, and then it just like comes
Yeah.
off.
Okay,
So sorry to everybody listening. We're just forcing you to hear
I
this
know.
part.
I
Thankfully,
looked
though,
up
The
movies-
Exorcist doesn't do this. They only have her puke, which is so
And,
much
like-
tamer.
Yeah, just spit and stuff.
Yeah,
Tamer.
tamer compared to like pulling a tooth out.
Like
Like
we're just getting like
Projectile from
Nickelodeon slimed, but
it
in
looks,
horror.
yeah.
It's like-
Like,
And I looked up movies that use practical effects, and like one that kind of stood out, It, obviously,
The new
Mhm.
like, yeah, the new one,
what?
Wait.
yeah, the practical
Oh,
effects, the guy in
his, like,
costume,
whole-
most of the stuff
yeah.
that they do, yeah.
Okay, because I was gonna say
practical effects.
his face. He doesn't have that many teeth.
Yeah, no.
It's
Yeah.
like-
No, they use a lot of practical effects though, like a lot of it's mostly just like practical mixed with CGI.
yeah. I mean, they built a
Like,
whole.
Because I know he
seriously,
got
so-
into like the whole getup, like how they did it before.
Yeah, and they also built
And
like a whole
Scary
sewer
Stories from the
system to
Dark.
walk through. Oh,
Hmm.
yeah, scary
That
movies
was
to tell in the
mostly
dark.
practical.
Yeah, that one.
And Crimson Peak.
Yeah, I can see that. Scary movies to tell in the dark, though. I wish I could have been on that set because some of the monsters that they had, there was only one
So
that was
cool.
so clearly CGI'd.
Yeah.
The Jangly Man, I think they called him.
Yeah.
And it was like the last monster or something, but like
I don't even know how they would do that practically.
I don't think there's a way, but the like the woman, I can't remember the monster's name, but that was like in the red hallway.
Yeah, the one that like waddling. Yeah,
the one that was waddling. That
that would be so
would have been
uncomfortable.
so terrifying to see on a set, like in real life. But I feel like it was not CGI'd at all. Like maybe like
wasn't.
the eyes blinking because the eyes were like
It was
this
a
far
person that was
apart. I
awesome.
don't think it was a human being. So but like just seeing something like that. Oh god.
I've actually seen a behind the scenes video of that. I think somewhere on YouTube.
Oh.
Yeah, where like most of the costumes that they had were completely practical, and it took like hours just for the actors to get the costumes.
Oh damn. I
Yeah.
love that though. That's so sweet to see the effort because like they don't have to.
Yeah,
They
Yeah.
have the
Yeah, no,
technology to
absolutely
just not do that. Like
they sat there for 8 hours to film like a 15-second scene.
yeah, like
Yeah.
why the hell not? I mean, they have the money. Somebody
Yeah.
clearly was paid enough to sit in a chair for that long and get into that costume. Well, probably
Yeah.
not paid enough,
I do it for
honestly.
free. I've done it for
Yeah.
free. I worked at a haunted toy once.
Really? Damn.
Yeah, it took like an hour to do the makeup and everything else,
Oh, sweet.
and I got paid like $20 a night.
Oh, that's a rip.
And I had to
you.
work from sundown to almost like 2 in the morning.
Oh, dude.
Dude.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. That sucks.
It was epic though.
I mean, it would have been
was
fun, but
so-
like,
yeah.
should have been
Yeah,
more than
I
20
got to
bucks.
talk to other people because I was like, it was like a carnival themed. Yeah, so I was like a carnival barker. So that was pretty cool.
Oh, what was your
That's
what
super
was your
cool.
costume or like the getup?
It was like your traditional attire basically, and it was a lot of face paint. Was mostly like pretty much what that went into. And I was gonna get teeth, but again, that would have taken longer, and I wouldn't have been able to talk as well since I was like directly talking to the people. But it was really just like I don't even know how to explain it. It's like almost like if you're wearing a mask, but like the mouth is like cracking, so it's like the mouth is kind of
Oh.
ripped open like that. Yeah, and
Oh,
the eyes have the
shit.
same effect.
Oh god, yeah.
Yep, this is
Okay,
pretty
that's
cool.
cool. Nice. I
That's crazy.
I wish I could have worked at one of those. I mean, I still can, I guess. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's even cooler now that
Yeah.
you're 18.
now that what?
Now that you're 18, you can do like
I'm-
more haunted stuff.
I'm 20.
Because like I was
Jesus, I'm
I was
20.
past 18.
Oh,
that's
past
what I
18. I thought you.
I
Okay.
know. I was like, oh my
Not
god.
18. I know you're not. 18.
I was like, dude, we've spent like so much time every week together. Like you should know this by now.
Yeah. No, I meant like past beyond because
Okay.
because,
Yeah.
because it was like a year ago, so I was like 17 at the time. So
Okay. Yeah.
like some of the stuff that they do on the trail was like kind of like, oh yeah, well, we can't really do that this year because we have minors.
Mm.
I
Like,
get
oh,
that.
that's kind of whack.
So we're at the 50-minute mark already. It went quick. So if we have
Yeah.
like, any closing thoughts on...
Yeah, I just want to bring up the exorcism of Roland Doe, what it was actually based off of.
Oh yeah. Go ahead. You
Yeah, I
found it.
So I found this little short list that basically says like everything that didn't actually happen or like in the movie based on the actual real events. So the exorcism did not take place in 3210 Bunker Hill Road, and the boy never lived in Mount Rainier. It was actually a cottage in Maryland, and I'm just going to read out this whole sentence. Much of the commonly accepted information about the story is based on hearsay and not documented. It was never fact-checked. There is no evidence that Father E. Albert Hughes visited the boy's home, had him admitted to Georgetown Hospital, requested that the boy be restrained at the hospital, attempted an exorcism of the boy in Georgetown Hospital, or was killed by the boy during the exorcism. There is ample evidence refuting claims that Father Hughes suffered an emotional breakdown and disappeared from the cottage city community.
I would too.
So,
Interesting.
so it was based on a book that didn't happen, based on a movie about a book that didn't happen.
Okay.
So that kind of
Damn.
So
Wow. Interesting.
that kind of answered the question of how much of it actually happened.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess my last comment before we move on to you, Cyrah. What I wanted to answer one of the questions that you asked at the beginning, and it was like, where did the demon go? And
Yeah.
I firmly believe that Father Damien like got the demon and then shoved himself out the window, and it wasn't the demon that did it, but it was himself.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
To
Oh.
expulse the demon out of the place, because he asked, take me, and then we
Yeah.
saw it briefly in his face, and then it disappeared.
Yeah.
And then I think, in my mind, like, he knew that it was in him, and then he jumped himself, like, out. Kind of like, I think it's in the first Annabelle movie, for example. I believe, like, the nanny in the movie threw herself out the window with the doll to get rid of the demon, because she was going to
Mhm.
take the
Didn't even
demon
work,
with
did
her.
it?
But it didn't work, but that's like, that she tried. It was the same attempt.
It's
You know,
worth the effort.
It's worth the effort. You died, but no.
And that's
Oops.
so
Okay.
sad though. I think that's a really cool trope though. Whenever they do like this like awesome epic sacrifice at the very end, and then it just doesn't work.
That's rough.
Like that's just disrespectful, and it's
Yeah.
like really sad.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
But it's
I
really
would be
cool
like
movies.
big mad though, coming back as a
Yeah,
ghost. I'd be
oh,
like,
for
yo, what
sure.
the
I'd be like, the fuck,
Yeah,
dude? Come
like-
on.
yeah.
But
You're sitting there beside your court, yeah.
honest, like, before I let it be for what I have to say, I was really hoping that there was going to be a moment when the detective was watching Reagan as they were driving away, where Reagan's eyes just like roll back or something like that. And we
Yeah.
know that she's still possessed.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
like the movie The Omen, that one's like about the son of Satan, and
Yeah.
it's like he gets adopted by a family and he like ruins their lives. But the movie
Mhm.
ends with like, oh yeah, we still see this kid alive at his adoptive parents' funeral or something like that, and he just smiles at the camera. And I was like, I forgot how The Exorcist ended, but I was hoping that it ended like The Omen did. It didn't.
Yeah.
That's okay.
It did not.
I know, they were just like, okay, dope, and then they moved, and she didn't remember anything. But then why did she kiss the like other priest? Because when he came in, I was like, oh, was he here in the story before? I couldn't remember.
I couldn't
Like
either.
the last one. Yeah. And I was like, who is this guy? And they're like, oh, hey, what's up? And I was really trying to figure out like where he was from and why Reagan like took a moment and then like kissed him on the cheek and then left.
Mhm.
Because I was really like, who the fuck is this guy? Because it wasn't even, I think it would have been like more, I don't know, hard hitting if it was like somebody that we knew, like maybe the detective, because he came that night as well. And it was like a really interesting shot of like the door. He was like this, being super sus.
Yeah.
He was, yeah. I don't know who would like knock on the door and be like right by the door.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, but yeah, I wish like he came back and was like, oh, or the case is closed, or your daughter isn't gonna go to jail for killing these people. Because yeah, like that was his initial thing. It was either that or he was thinking Carl did it, the like German helper guy in the
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was like, oh, interesting, and then that was never revisited. So I wish that like there was some sort of closure on that, as opposed to just having this random priest. Because I really didn't know where he was from. So it was
A lot of
like
the movie is.
if you die, then the demon dies. But the demon wanted Reagan to die. Because they said the demon was like, oh, I'm gonna be in here until like her body rots or whatever. So then I was like, why would the demon want that if they would die then? Because then they would have to transfer to a new body. Or is it just like they want to watch the world burn sort of thing?
It's probably that.
Well, they
honestly.
can't
Yeah.
watch the world burn if they're gonna be dead.
Well,
Yeah.
don't judge their motives. Actually, yeah, do judge their motives. They're demons. Yeah, we should judge them. What am I saying? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Supernatural?
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a good show.
Oh, it was great.
I never finished it though. It's just way too long. I don't like long.
Yeah, there's so many seasons now.
Wait, you never finished The Exorcist?
No,
No.
the what's it called? Supernatural.
Oh, fuck. My bad. I misheard you. I thought you said you didn't finish The Exorcist. I was like, why the fuck were we talking about it then?
That's like chaos if you start a movie and then just decide, actually, I'm not going to finish it.
Yeah, like never mind.
That would drive me
I'm just gonna
insane.
not watch it.
Like, I feel like another question I had, or something that I like wish was answered, was he, the like Father Rocky, the guy who I'm forgetting his name, but he was the main father who was in this who didn't believe it, and he was like working out and running. I thought that he was like Rocky, which I thought was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I added that to his character.
Yeah.
But
Rocky,
he,
like Rocky
like-
Balboa.
Yeah.
Rocky Balboa. Because yeah, he was like really pissed that his mom died, and then he went to like the punching bags, and then he was like in a full gray outfit,
Yeah.
and he was like running and stuff, and I was like, who is this guy?
It's Rocky Balboa.
Yeah, I wanted him to like at the end
Oh
run
my
up
god.
those stairs, but instead he fell down them. LOL. But yeah, he like when he was trying to figure out if he could actually do an exorcism, he was like gathering all the data. He like threw tap water, he had said later, on the demon, and Reagan like screamed in pain and whatnot, but it wasn't holy water.
Mhm.
So I wanted to know, like, I don't know, like, why would the demon even do that? Or, I don't know, it didn't make sense, because then if that, I don't know, because it didn't make sense. Because then it actually, like, burned them later with the holy water.
Yeah.
But then he was like, oh yeah, the demon was lying, because it wasn't actually holy water.
Maybe
Yeah.
maybe you wanted it to think like, like, oh yeah, we're actually doing something. Let's keep doing that. But they're like not. And then
Yeah.
it's like a futile effort.
That could
Yeah.
totally work. Or I thought it was like trying to, I don't know, make it more of like, oh, this is actually Reagan being mentally ill as opposed to being like possessed. Like, oh, kind of like where you go in.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of times if you like preface with like a psychological like evaluation or something, if you
Mhm.
preface something that's like, oh, like this is something that's gonna hurt or whatever, and then they're like, oh yeah, it hurts, but they didn't even touch you. It's like
Mhm.
giving them that information before, so that, I don't know, it's like almost to rule out something. But I was just like, oh, they never talked about that later.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. So I hate
Yeah.
to cut it off now, but I can hear that guests just arrived at my apartment. So I should go.
Yeah,
and,
no
like, I have
worries.
to go and like say hello to them. And to those listening, follow us, subscribe, and like if you're on YouTube. If you don't,
Yeah.
piss off. Okay, we don't want you.
You'll
here.
get
that
possessed.
smash
You will.
Yeah.
You will get possessed if you don't do those things. So your head's gonna be twisting around in weird ways.
Just sit there like, by me, I will personally.
I will conjure it for you. No, I won't. I won't do that. But something will happen. You
It's
might.
an empty threat, please.
It's a completely empty threat. Don't take this down,
Like
YouTube.
I am lying.
We are completely lying, but you will get possessed. And that's all I
Yeah,
have to say.
you will.
Theoretically.
Perfect.